सुनी हिकायत हस्ती तो दरमियान से सुनी एंड आई डू नॉट नो इट्स बिगिनिंग और इट्स एंड. ना इब्तिदा की खबर है ना इंतहा मालूम. It's important to be okay with not knowing the destination because it's always about the journey, a journey that is again bound to make you meet your emotions to the deepest. और अब हम भी एक सफ़र पर निकल पड़ते हैं नवरस यानी भारत के रास रंगों को पहचानने के एक सफ़र पर. So let me now make you meet our speakers for this session. First up, we have someone who's a classical dancer, director and choreographer, creator of Sufi Kathak, restorer of the dance of Tawaifs, TEDx speaker, cultural academia and president of the Sufi Kathak Foundation. In her illustrious career spanning over 25 years, 500 plus concerts, 38 productions, and traveling to 36 countries with her team of 408 musicians, she has taken the traditional form of Kathak to a different level altogether and has created her own style of dance called Sufi Kathak, a spiritual exploration. And she has been a part of the prestigious Smithsonian Museum, Washington, D.C., delivered lectures at Princeton and Cambridge, and is the jury and member of think tank on Asian dance. A dancer representing Lucknow Gharana of Kathak and postgraduate in environmental studies, she bridges the gap between tradition and modernity. With that, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the dais our speaker, Manjari Chaturvedi ji. Warm welcome to you, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining us. Next up, we have a santoor maestro and music composer who is the youngest classical musician to compose and conduct orchestras, choral music, Sufi and folk music ensembles, and the youngest recipient of awards in recognition of his contribution and achievements in the field of music, including the prestigious Dhrupad Samman, Maharaja Swati Tirunal Travancore Award 2023, and the Jammu and Kashmir Government Award, which is also the highest civilian award of Jammu and Kashmir in 2011. Born in Srinagar, he inherited a profound sense of music from Sapori Sufiana Gharana of Kashmir, the traditional Santoor family of India. And through his compositions in films like Shikara and the web series Tanav, he's brought the authentic sounds of Kashmir in commercial cinema and OTT platforms, and he's also invented, designed and introduced a new 30-stringed instrument called the Sur Santoor. I guess that calls for a very loud round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, please give it up for Pandit Abhirustam Sapori. I request him to come up on the dais. तालियों की आवाज नहीं आएगी तो मजा नहीं आएगा. Warm welcome and thank you so much for joining us. And our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, we've met him many a time through the day, but I must introduce him to you as an editor, entrepreneur, poet and columnist, and the founder-director of Reverse Publishing Group, which provides a wide platform for publishing, podcasts, YouTube channels, along with literary and artistic campaigns. And you might already know this, that he's the editor-in-chief of Reverse Beat, a monthly English literary magazine, Lafznama, a Punjabi quarterly magazine, and Abhas, a quarterly Hindi magazine. Curator of Spark Sessions, a series of creative writing workshops. He's written op-eds on issues on social importance in various publications, including Daily O, Huffington Post, The Times of India, and many, many more. Well, he's a calculated risk taker and passionate, very passionate about the causes that he believes in. And his lineage can be traced back to Khwaja Ahmad Yasvi, 11th century Sufi saint, founder of the Yasaviya Sufi order in Central Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Afan Yasvi. I just want to say that accomplished, the word accomplished, takes on a very new meaning with this panel. And biting this accomplished panel is an equally accomplished moderator, who's a renowned Kathak dancer who has trained with Guru Shankar Dev Jha and with Padam Shri Dr. Roshan Kumari of the Jaipur Gharana in Mumbai, who's been an inspiration for her. She was trained under the traditional Guru Shishya Parampara, as a result of which she has imbibed grace and rhythm, and has showed a sensitive approach to the aesthetics of Kathak. She's a Government of India scholarship holder under the scheme Scholarship to Young Workers in Different Cultural Fields, an impaneled artist of ICCR and a graded artist of Doordarshan. And she has performed extensively in India and abroad and in all major festivals, and she holds the title of Nritya Parveen and Nritya Prabhakar from Prayag Sangeet Samiti of Allahabad. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our moderator for this panel, Nandita Puri ji. बस ऐसी तालियों का मैं इंतजार कर रही थी इतनी देर से, फाइनली सुनने को मिल गई. थैंक यू सो मच. एंड विद दैट, दिस जर्नी, दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन अबाउट इमोशंस, अबाउट नवरस, भारत के रास रंग, इज ऑल योर्स.
A very warm welcome to everybody. And I would like to say that I'm absolutely delighted to be participating in this Lit Fest. And I want to thank Dr. Sumita Mishra ji for inviting me, and also Afan Yaswi, and also Jaskiran Kapoor. They have been coordinating with me. What a wonderful subject that has been selected, and that is the Navras and the Raas-Rang of Bharat. This subject is so vast and so deep. It's like the ocean and as beautiful. What is Ras? I'm sure we all know what is Ras, but I just want to bring it into perspective that Rasa is an emotion. It is the emotional state of a person. Rasa is when we feel joy, happiness, sorrow, pain, anger. As a dancer, and I'm sure later Manjari will also agree with me, that we have traveled far and wide in India, abroad. And in India, I have traveled to small towns, small villages, remote villages, to the urban cities. And I always wondered, what is it about India that touches the heart? And I realized that it's the people. The people of India have this inherent trait of being warm, welcoming, accepting. They are so happy to share their happiness, their joy, their home, their hearth. And for us, even in sorrow, we all come together. The basic approach of the people is very spiritual. There is a lot of gratitude in life. Anything that comes our way, we show gratitude. This gratitude and this tremendous and genuine urge to share happiness, this need to be with others, this need to accept situations and people, I think this is the emotional appeal of our country. This is the rasa, and this is the Raas-Rang of our country. And it is really beautiful, and it encompasses all aspects of life. India is a country which is steeped in a very rich cultural heritage. And this cultural heritage doesn't stop at, it's not only for dance, music, and the performing arts. We have a very rich cultural heritage of customs, cuisine, architecture, religious beliefs, and just about everything. In fact, it's quite wonderful, but I think all of us, we celebrate every aspect of our life. We celebrate the rising sun, the tulsi plant. We celebrate a bride entering the house, a new life. We celebrate all our festivals, Holi, Eid, Gurpurab, which is just round the corner. We celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi, Durga Puja. And in all these celebrations, this emotional quotient of happiness, joy, togetherness is very important. And not only that, colors are so important. Today we have these beautiful colors. This is the Raas-Rang of India. And this gathering here, we've come together to experience joy, to share things. This is the Rasa of India. I think this Rasa and the Raas-Rang of India, which is our aesthetic appeal, I personally feel that this Rasa is the unity in diversity. And this rasa is what makes our culture unique. And it is this rasa, the robustness of this rasa, that will make our culture survive year after year. I would now like to uh, have a discussion on rasa. I'd like to ask Manjari that, you see, when we perform in India and in the Indian audience, everybody knows the subject. We all know what we're talking about. We might be we're talking about the Ramayana, or we're showing it through dance. We're telling you about Krishna. But when you go abroad and you perform, this aesthetic appeal of India, this Raas-Rang, how is that how is that experienced by the audience abroad? I want to ask Manjari, what is her experience of Raas-Rang when she performs?
Thank you. Thank you for being the savior. That's a topic which is very vast, but we will try and cover it in the stipulated time which is there. So, when we are talking about dance as a medium, as an expression, there are many rasas, many emotions that are expressed through it. Of course, some of the underlying aspect is also the words which are used, the poetry which is used, which expresses a certain kind of a emotion or a rasa. But apart from that, it is also the dance as a language, the body language. For example, if I may say, whether you know someone's language or not, अगर आपसे कोई नाराज है तो आपको फट से पता चल जाएगा. आपको भाषा आती है नहीं आती है, you wouldn't care, but you would know that this person is angry with me. So that is a body language, and that is something that dancers are trained into, not just the face expressions, but in the use of the complete body. So coming to that when we perform internationally, we perform a wide range of emotions. They could be anger, they could be sorrow, they could be happiness, they could be joy, they could be bhakti, they could be shant, there could be many layers of emotions. But the foreigners or the people who do not even understand our language, they're able to grasp the meaning of it through the language of dance. Very briefly, I would say, what is dance? When we say our classical dances, what are they? Since we are sitting in a literary festival, I would like to enumerate like that you learn A, B, C, D, then you learn to join those words and you make cat, bat, rat kind of words, and then you learn the punctuation, and then you learn where to put the full stop and end the sentence. Similarly, and then comes the most important part, that you learn what story you're going to tell with that language. All that A, B, C, D, cat, bat, rat that you've done, what are you going to do with that? Exactly that is what our classical dance forms are. They are languages. So we learn the tal, we learn the lay, we learn the mudras, which mudra to use, we learn the rasa. So we learn all of that, and then we learn to say what story I wish to tell. Now, if you see a beautiful A, B, Z, Y, J, K written, it might be written very beautifully, but it would still be gibberish. So if you see a dance performance which may be grammatically beautiful, but if it doesn't denote a story, it doesn't express a story, it loses its importance as a language of communication. So therein lies the intelligence of the performer, that which country we are going to be in, what kind of an audience that is there, what rasa do we, kind of wish to generate in them at that. And frankly, the easiest is romance. आप कहीं भी जाइए, romance is something that everybody understands. A dalliance between a man and a woman, or bhakti. The aspiring for the Almighty is something which is globally very easily understood. So therein we, make these conscious decisions as to what story we are going to narrate, which is going to reach out to the audiences. And of course, they are all Indian stories. So we take India to the world actually when we say.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Today's topic is Navras. Now, Manjari just spoke about the rasas, and romance is the supreme ras. But it's absolutely amazing and wonderful. I would like to share this with you because it is really interesting. The most ancient and the most famous script it's like a Bible for the dance, and that is the Natya Shastra. It was written some 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, written by sage Bharat Muni, and in that he's enumerated the rasas. So you can just imagine how important rasa and bhav is in a human's life. That so many years ago, it was codified and defined. And it's very interesting. It's amazing that they had such a psyche into the human thinking and to the human feeling and into the human emotion. So there are 4 aspects that make up rasa. The first aspect is the sthyayi bhav, which is the dormant emotion, which we all have. We all are capable of feeling love, anger, happiness. Then we come to the vibhav. I just want this to be a point of interest. I'm not being technical, but it'll give you an idea of how rasa is created. The vibhav is the medium which instigates the dormant emotion. And then, because of that, there are some emotions that arise, which are transient emotions. And when those manifest into action, it becomes anubhav, and the whole thing creates ras. I am talking only because I'm so full of admiration for the fact that there was such a lot of deep thought into what ras is all about. So it's like a young Naika who thinks of her lover, her beloved, and she sees that there is a nightingale sitting there and singing away very happily. And that nightingale makes her think of her beloved, and she has this excitement in her, this urge to go and meet him and be with him. So she has a smile on her face, she blushes, and she runs forward. That is the expression of rasa. So all this forms the rasa. Now, when I talk of dormant emotions, all of us, like I said, we are all capable of feeling love, anger, hate. I want to address Abhay and ask him that when he plays, when he creates music, does the rasa in him that he is experiencing at that time, does it convey through his music? If he is in a disturbed state of mind, then how does he overcome that and play the way he wants to play?
Thank you, and my namaskar to everyone here. It's an absolute honor to be part of the festival here. See, when we talk about the ras with perspective of sound, so it's very different from the abhinayang. I won't say abhinay is easy because it takes ages to learn that. I mean, if you ask me to convey a thing through the, say, facial expressions, I'll fail in that because you actually have to learn that. But creating that through the sound is actually very different. See, what is sound? Sound is something that we hear. We hear claps, we hear people talking to each other, somebody singing, the bus going, the vehicles. And what generally, when we define sound, it's basically reproducing the celestial sound when it comes to the musical part. So if we talk about those people, the sages and the saints, those have been spiritually very advanced, especially, I belong to Kashmir, both of us. And, we have had saints, peers, fakirs. And what they defined was something when they were in the deep oceans of their meditation, what they heard, one of the sounds was sound of the bell, sound of the santur, which is closer to the sound of the bell, and few more. So those have been reproduced here by hearing these people who have been spiritually advanced. And finally, we find that these sounds are actually part of our entire system, be it even religions. So if we go to a temple, we strike a bell right on the top of our head. And then, of course, we really don't have to go into that. But, we are talking about the chakras. It hits your sahasrara, flows down, and, we're talking about the energy and all. But that sound in itself is basically a ras, as, they have been also mentioning. And when we create that through ahat, because what they heard was anahat, and what we produce on this planet is ahat. So that sound in itself generates lots of emotions. And, when we perform for the audiences, now as an artist, if I'm actually going through some emotional turmoil, it will actually reflect in my music. As musicians, singers, and instrumentalists, we are not trained to curb our, emotions and express the art form in a much professional manner as they would be doing as in the abhinay part, because they are masters in that. We go more into emotional side, and if an artist is disturbed, if I talk about myself, if I'm really, as I said, if I'm going through some emotional turmoil, it will affect my music. So I might be trying to show a raga, and this I'm talking about classical music, not compositional side, because compositional is again dramatic. But classical, you sit on the stage and you start the creative aspect. And that time, if I'm emotionally disturbed, it gets transformed into my music. And what the listeners get is that disturbed aspect of creation. So it won't happen that I am in a mood wherein I could just break down and somebody will hear that music and he'll get into that state. No. But it will have its effect on that, which primarily means that maybe I'm trying to play a raga which was full of Shringar ras, but my interpretation of that raga landed up in something which is more towards the agony side, towards the sad side. Now I'm conveying that sound, because sound has such huge impact on our entire nervous system. As I said, we go to the temples, it's right there, whether it's in the shape of azan, in any religion, whether it's, the temple bell, it's the bell in the church. So the sound is everywhere. It's been given that, importance. It has the effect on our cells. It has the effect on our nervous system, and that's what gets transformed. So the audience will get that it's a different emotion of music which is flowing from the artist and going to the other side of the stage.
Yes. Manjari and I were just talking about it, that as a dancer, you probably would be able to control that emotion and then convey only what you have planned to convey.
Yes.
So, rasa is an emotion. It has no boundaries. It transcends boundaries. In the same way, we have an emotion of bhakti. We have 2-3 rasas which convey bhakti. One is Karuna Ras, compassion. We have Adbhut Ras, that is divine. We have Shant Ras, and we have Bhakti Ras. Now, we have a fan here who is going to tell us something more about the divine ras, which manifests itself so beautifully in Sufi, in the concept of Sufi, in Sufi music, in Sufi poetry. Afan?
Yeah, I'll try to tell because I feel that this Ras basically involves love, and love is the most dearest and purest of emotion. And we have also seen in various spiritual schools across all cultures and religions, वो जो हमारी तहजीब है, it's more from person to person. The way in Sufism, the teachings go through Sina by Sina. It is
Right,
between the
absolutely.
Murshid and the Talimgar. So, yes, the most purest and the best emotion is of love, and it makes everything move. In India, we have seen how we have a beautiful composite culture. We are going into the dargah, and everyone is welcome there, and everybody goes there with the kind of devotion and dedication and that faith that yes, something will happen, and all are satisfied. So yes, for me to explain what the Ras, because it is a Ras which everyone has its own journey. Religion is a very private affair, so everybody has to go and walk through that own journey on their own. इनने जैसे अभी कहा कि there is a music. Yes, I have also studied that in our teachings that every soul connects in a particular vibration, and we have to meditate, and we have to do zikr, we have to listen to ragas, we have to be in that sama mahfil to check where we had hit that particular vibration. तो many people say कि चलो अब इसको जिक्र आ गया. अगर आपने कभी देखा है किसी महफिल में, खास तौर पे समाबंदी में, then they do like and they are, that's a kind of a state of statelessness, trance. But for one to be and get there, you need to find that level, that vibration. It is also said that all souls, when before the creation, souls were created and they were gathered, and a bell or a sound was yeah, sounded, and every soul heard that at a particular vibration. And this life is just a journey for us to look and to kind of find that vibration, so that we again go back and get connected to divine. Because the purpose of life is to love and to be in love with divine. We all have to die. Life is very limited and short. We should not have any grudges. Yes, there are all the rasas, whether it is music, whether it is dance, all the rasas. But the purpose is to find ourselves and to find our connect with the divine.
Yes.
Thank you.
The Natya Shastra has a very interesting take on this. The purpose of the rasa was not for entertainment. The purpose of the rasa was to evoke a feeling within you, a realization within you, which would take you to a higher level. So basically, the idea was to understand yourself a little more. There's that famous saying, Mrig ki nabhi bhari kasturi, mrig ban ban firat udas. Everything is within you. Divinity is within you. So Manjari will tell us now about her life with Sufi.
You know, before I go into that, we all can be politically correct and say all the correct versions here on stage. But what's the point in having a literary fest and not questioning certain things which we've been told to just listen because they are politically correct? So I'll point out one thing which, as dancers, we all know. Now, Natya Shastra, when it is written, and she mentioned a Naika which is in love, and that is how, we learn different type of Naikas to express rasa. But if I may say, Bharat Muni was a man who was writing Natya Shastra. There are 35, 36 kind of Naikas who are there, and there are only 8 types of Nayak. So the women are very complicated, But the men, they're very simple. I feel that probably if there was a woman writing, Natya Shastra and writing the treatise of dance and music, I'm sure the history would have been slightly different. Yeah. It's my perception. I may be wrong, I may be right, but the fact is that history has never been written from a woman's perspective. Women never wrote histories. So whatever we have as a history that we celebrate is a man's version of what they saw in arts, they saw in literature, they saw in history. It is all a man's version of history. Same in the performance art. We do not have women who have written such treatises which can be recorded and said and quoted. So having said that, while there are emotions to be explored, I feel that maybe there are many more emotions or rasa to be explored even on the male gender, which probably have not been overlooked because have not been looked at, simply because also in our classical traditions we are told not to deviate from the tradition. But I can be, short for it because I've deviated from everything. And I still sit here and I speak.
But don't you agree that women have many more facets to them than men?
No, how do we, there are men who have so many more facets that have been written.
Important words are being missed.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was one aspect. The other aspect which I feel that, she mentioned about the rasas which are used in bhakti. There is also very important rasa which perhaps she did not include is Shringar ras. You know.
That's the first, the prime rasa.
So that becomes.
Now when we are
when we are talking about a Bulle Shah writing in love, we are sitting in Punjab, and the way he would dress up and dance for his beloved and say, Tere ishq na chaya thaya thaya, like a woman dressed like a woman. Now these are expressions of Shringar, So while it is bhakti, it is Sufi, but it is also love, romance, Shringar. So when we, as artists, or when we see literature, because literature itself is rasa, what else? These words are communicating rasa to us. We are using that. It's always interwoven. So we may say that, okay, we will perform bhakti ras. Okay. But it cannot only be bhakti ras. There will be layers of, Shringar involved in it. There is, a Kabir saying, Dulhani gaho mangalachar.
Life is full of rasas and we have to just
Amir
balance it.
Amir Khusro
Yeah,
writing,
Yeah,
Gori Gori Baiya, Hari Hari Chudiyan.
Yeah, I think
like
Afan
Miskin,
mentioned
it's
that, no?
yeah,
It is love. You start with love and you transcend to a higher level.
Like in Zihale Miskin, we have seen that one stanza is from Persian and one is from the Hindavi, which later became
So
Urdu,
it's-
and now it is the language of our
Zihale
country.
Miskin, Makun Tagaful, Duraye Naina, Banaye Batiya, Kitab Hijra, Nadaru Eja, Nalehu Kahe, Lagaye Chatiya. Now these are masterpieces. One line in Persian and one line in Hindavi, if we say it. And so beautifully both lines combine and tell that meaning. So the Sufi saints also actually tried to tell us about love through the love that we know, which could be in a physical embodiment of love that we perhaps would know. And none of the Sufi saints in their teachings have ever castigated somebody for love, humanly love. There's always been a way to move ahead. It's in Hindu traditions too. What he said, I just want to say one more thing. I'm talking about the lighter notes actually. They are talking about serious things. He mentioned about sound in a temple. Kumudni Lakhya, who's a Katha guru, had taught me many years back कि हम टेम्पल क्यों जाते हैं. हम जाते हैं अपनी 5 senses को sensitize करने. It's a process. When you enter, you see an idol. Your eyes are sensitized. The moment you enter there, you ring a bell. Your ears, your sound is sensitized. Then you touch the idol. So touch, 3. Then you light an incense. Your nose, smell, agarbatti jalate hain. उसके बाद लास्ट में आपको प्रसाद मिलता है विच इज़ योर टेस्ट. So the process of going to a temple and coming back is essentially sensitizing your own five senses, like what she mentioned, कि कस्तूरी तो अंदर ही है, बाहर क्या ढूंढेंगे, you know.
Abhay, would you like to say something more?
I think just adding to what has just been discussed, Kashmir में I really feel कि it's been one center जहाँ पे कि I mean it's actually everywhere, but Kashmir में it's been very visible that we find these rasas coming together, and let's not see Kashmir in the last 100-200 years. Let's see Kashmir thousands of years back. It's been really beautiful. जिसका impact भी जो है वो to all of us who were born before 1990, we have actually seen that. It could also be that since we belong to this tradition, where this spirituality, music has been there in the tradition, in the gharana, in the family. But I'll, give you an example about talking about myself. As a kid, so we used to go to Shankaracharya temple, and it was like a Sunday game. We would go up the mountain, running, come down, at times fall down and go feet down, then have, some Dettol and all. But the moment we would come down, वहाँ पे एक बहुत बड़े पीर की दरगाह है. So my father would take me there. So as a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid, I had this concept that when you go to the temple, so you have to come down and go to the mosque. And frankly speaking, I never knew I was a Hindu. Somebody asked me, because my middle name is Rustum. And in 87, 88, Abhay was not added to my name. So it was Rustum and Sohrab. My elder brother is Sohrab, and we have got our names from the epic. So somebody asked me in school that you are a Hindu and why is your name Rustum? And I had to go back home, and for the first time I asked, what is this Hindu? So what I mean to say, that the importance was given more to emotions, more to humanity, rather than something which is too visible perhaps on the planet, which could be religion and other things.
Very
And
true,
that
very
is so beautiful in this subcontinent towards this side.
Because I personally feel that culture is there to unite us, and we have to see how to coexist also. And Bharat, as the title of this session is, it has a very vast culture, beautiful culture, the tolerance and the acceptance. Yes, Dargah is a platform. This festival is also like we'll have just now a beautiful session of Ramayana. She'll be performing. So that this is our tehzeeb, and we are celebrating our tehzeeb here.
So I'm going to be concluding the session. So now we know that the Raas-Rang of Bharat is a beautiful emotion. It transcends boundaries. It transcends religion. And it goes beyond into another realm. And like Manjari mentioned, Amir Khusro ji, the line was, Chhap tilak sab chhini re, to se naina milai ke. So that means there is no religion, there is no person to person, this is just divinity, and all of us should aspire to reach divinity. And I think that is the aesthetic appeal of our country, and I think all of us, we feel that very strongly, and we are so proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
But there is a problem now. पहले तो रस क्रिएट करने के लिए आई एम श्योर अभय विल एग्री विद अस, हम लोगों को 1 घंटा मिलता था. आज हमें 30 सेकंड की रील में रस क्रिएट करना है. दैट्स द प्रॉब्लम.
Thank you.
I just want to say one thing कि 1000 बार ज़माना इधर से गुज़रा है. 1000 बार ज़माना इधर से गुज़रा है. कुछ नई नई सी लगती है भारत के रास रंग की राह गुज़र फिर भी. Thank you so much Manjari ji. Thank you so much Pandit Abhay. Thank you so much, Afan ji, and thank you so much, Nandita ji, for bringing that beautiful conversation to us, replete with all the colors and all the emotions of India. Let's move on to the final session for the day. अब ये कुछ ऐसी दास्तां छूट गई है ज़माने में कि ज़माने के ज़माने लगेंगे इसे भुलाने में, और उसी दास्तां का एक अनोखा रूप आज हम देखेंगे इस मंच पर, और क्योंकि रूप नया है तो सूत्रधार भी नया होना चाहिए, राइट? चलिए मैं आपको उनसे मिलवाती हूँ जो हमें इस दास्तान की ओर लेकर जाएंगी. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Miss Shelley Vij, author, poet, awardee of 4 books by Chandigarh Sahitya Academy and presenter at All India Radio Chandigarh. Shelley ji, all yours.
Thank you so much, Niharika. This is Shelley Vij. I'm going to host the last show, last presentation of the day in Literati, Litfest, Navras. I'll be continuing. महफिल में हर जुबान होगी. इस महफिल में हर जुबान होगी. जुबान होगा एक किस्सा और अंदाज़े बयां होगा. कथा राम की नजर होगी. कथा राम की नजर होगी. आज की शाम दास्ताने गुलिस्तां होगा. Ladies and gentlemen, नमस्ते, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब. हमारे लिटफेस्ट टाइटल दिया गया है नवरस. नवरसों में से एक रस है भक्ति रस, और उसको सार्थक करता हमारा ये सेगमेंट है. बोर हो जाएंगे. दास्तान यानी कहानी, गोई यानी कि सुनाना, और दास्तान गो वो होता है जो कहानी सुनाता है. इस झीनी सी सर्दी में लिपटी इस शाम की खूबसूरती को बढ़ाने, भक्ति रस में डुबाने हमारे साथ हैं फौजिया. फौजिया इज़ द फर्स्ट फीमेल दास्तान गो ऑफ मॉडर्न टाइम्स. 2006 से दास्तान गोई कर रही हैं. 500 से ज़्यादा शो कर चुकी हैं, भारत में और भारत से बाहर भी, यानी कि नेशनली और इंटरनेशनली एज वेल, जिनके लिए इनको हर बार नवाजा भी गया है. इन्होंने सोशल इश्यूज जैसे मेंटल हेल्थ, जेंडर